no matter what you have a passion for, you can make it a career.
It's good.
I think
Yeah.
people try to get in. I think people try to be the standard, um, because that's what the world wants. And I think each one of us has a different something to speak into other people. So no matter how little or big your calling is, you're going to find somebody that you're going to be able to speak to.
Your message equals your $1,000,000 anthem. You don't have a sales problem, you have a message problem. If your words don't captivate, they don't convert. I have helped Grammy winning artists craft unforgettable songs, and now we help entrepreneurs just like you craft your business messaging that actually sells.
You don't need more hustle. You need the right strategy. I help scale multi-million-dollar companies, and we can show you exactly how to systemize, scale, and dominate the market without drowning in the grind. Welcome to the Conquer Club podcast. What happens when a Super Bowl champion walks off the field and into a brand new calling?
And how do you go from millions watching every move to building something behind the scenes that serves others and lasts a lifetime?
Today's guest made that move, and he didn't just pivot, he conquered.
He's not just a legend, he is family. Friends who are family. Craig Hentrich and his wife, Lisa, are some of our closest friends here in Nashville, Tennessee, and his story is a masterclass in consistency, creativity, and calling. Welcome, Craig Hentrich, to the Conquer Club podcast.
Thank you, guys. It's an honor being here.
It's gonna be very hard, Kev, right? To be serious when you're not so serious in the living room with somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, when you get on here with one of your best buds where you can just be a man, this is what we got here. But anyway, Craig, great to have you here, brother. And so we know that you were staying out at Notre Dame from 1989 to 1993. Then you did go on to play an amazing, incredible 17 seasons in the NFL with the Packers, Oilers / Titans.
And now you're building your second act, or maybe it's the fourth, I don't know, from launching your MPCAP app, master your punting and kicking app, to creating a cookbook, mentoring athletes, and speaking into the lives of leaders.
Well, we know that you are an entrepreneur navigating pressure, pivot or purpose. This one is for you.
Yeah, so we welcome you, Craig, and this is where the people that are listening, all of these entrepreneurs that are listening, you are here and going to hear a treat in Craig Hentrich. Again, we're gonna try to keep it serious, but how are we gonna kick this off? No pun intended. No pun.
Well, we're gonna laugh too. Trust me, it's gonna be good.
That's good, Ton. How are we going to kick this off? And that's no pun intended.
Yeah.
Only
Craig,
a songwriter.
We better not get started, should we, Craig?
Please, no.
All right. So, Kev, I know you want to kick off and ask them a question.
So, Craig, walk us through what's in the huddle. It's fourth down, game's on the line, crowd's roaring. You can't even hear one another while you're sitting in the huddle or standing in the huddle. What is the thoughts going through in that very moment? And what can entrepreneurs learn about performing with everything when everything is on the line? How are we gonna transition that over to entrepreneurs when you can relate to it when fourth quarter drive and game's on the line?
Well, like you said, I had the honor of playing at Notre Dame for 4 years under one of my favorite people in the whole world, Coach Lou Holtz. And he was the king of kind of motivation, and he helped us to grow a lot mentally in our game. And that's half the battle when you get to a major college is the mental part of the game. And he used to always say that pressure is a feeling you get when you're not confident in your abilities. And so that really stuck with me, not just through my football career, but after. When you're in like you said, when you're in the last minute of a game and you need to kick a great punt or kick a field goal, nothing changes. It's the same thing in practice. It's just more people are watching. And so if you're really confident in your abilities, there really is no pressure because you know you're going to do your job.
Well, I mean, that is, I think being in the NFL like you have been, Craig, you have to have a different kind of mindset. So 17 years you were in the NFL. Most don't even make it to 3. What do you think separated you, and what separates you, I guess, and how can entrepreneurs stay in a game when most people would burn out?
That's a tough one because I think what kept me in the game, and I can only speak personally, what kept me in the game is that I was able to perform in those situations. I never didn't seem to crumble under the pressure of the big moment. But you learn, that's a learned thing to me. It's doing something so many times that it becomes natural. And I had punted and kicked so many times in my life that I knew what I was doing. I knew I could do it. It just the situation was different. So if you can perform in any situation like that, they're going to want you around for a while. And so that's how I was able to stay in the league for that long, and really to gain the trust of my coaches.
So 17 years, somebody in business for 17 years, how do you think that translates? Because a lot of people get burnt out, or they're just exhausted.
Yeah. Well, first you got to love what you do. And I think that's the first thing. If you don't love what you do, you're not going to practice it. You're not going to become the best you can be if you hate what you're doing. So first of all, I loved what I was doing. I loved the people that I was around. And so whenever you have that feeling of wanting to be there and knowing you can do it, you don't want to let your teammates down. You don't want to let your business partners down. And so you do everything you can to succeed. And I think that's the mindset that you have to go into, not just football games, but business.
So true.
That is. Craig, for years we would play golf in the summer, and you always would wrap up, and you faithfully, for the years that I was around you, you faithfully would go from the golf course to go work out, and you always would go and kick. In preparation, you've said this a couple of times already, and I think it's a great point. So I want you to go a little deeper in this topic. You've said a couple of times, if you are properly prepared, then there's really nothing to be anxious or nervous or worried about because you're prepared. So my question for you is this: when you would go do those workouts, I had fun with you on the golf course and you had to really go to work, but when you go do that, how many punts would you punt a day? How many kicks would you kick a day? What'd that workout look like to be a NFL kicker and punter?
Well, I figured out once I retired that I'd kicked somewhere between 800,000 and 1,000,000 balls in my life.
Wow.
And so when you do it that many times, first of all, you have to be self-motivated. No one told me to go out and kick. It's something I love to do. So I love to go out and work, and I love to go out and analyze how I did, what made good punts and what made bad punts. How can I change to make things more efficient, more consistent? And so that's the mindset I took into every practice: is how can I get better today? What did I do right? What did I do wrong? And fix the bad things and continue to do the good things. And that's what I did for 17 years.
And that's what allowed you to stay in there. Well, in regards to going from obviously all the work you put into your God-gifted talent, which we know that, and then you put the work in as well, but you had the passion and desire and the love of the game. And this is why you sustained a career in the NFL for that long a period of time. But let's talk about your MPK, master your punting and kicking. This isn't just a technique. It's a mentorship, it's a legacy and excellence. What made you start this, and what advice would you give to business owners mentoring the next generation as well?
Well, I started MPK once I retired from football. I started coaching young high school kids, college kids, and some pro kickers when I retired, because I had so much stuff, so much knowledge that I learned, wisdom that I've learned over the 30 plus years of kicking footballs, that I wanted to be able to possibly give someone else a little bit better shot or a shortcut. And from what I didn't have, I had to learn all this myself. And yes, I had a couple coaches growing up, but for the most part, I learned through trial and error. And if I had somebody teach me things that I'm trying to teach other people, it may not have been such a hard road for me. And so I'd love to see all those people who have the same dream as I did to accomplish their goal the same way that I did. And I think in business, it kind of translates into business so that always be willing to learn. Don't ever think that you know everything, because you don't. And I still don't know everything about punting and kicking. I still learn from the people that I teach.
Yeah,
I'll see something new or something different that works. And I think that's the key: is never be satisfied where you are. Always want something more.
that's good
I think
about
that's great advice for all of us, not only on the business side of things, but also in our family side of things. There's always opportunity for us to get better as a friend, as a father, as a husband. And so that is excellent advice that goes from high level sports to businesses to our family households.
So speaking of pros that you're talking about, and Kevin, and a pro not just in your career, but being a pro at wherever you are. And like you said, Craig, you want to continue learning. You don't ever want to stop learning in your life.
Yeah.
So there's that moment in every pro's life when the title changes, Craig, but your purpose remains. And so, what was it like? Our daughter, actually, one of our daughters, Sierra, obviously, as you know, just launched a podcast called Now What? And the whole premise of it is, what is it like for you? What was it like for you when that NFL chapter closed? Because so many times we wrap our identity in our jobs, in our careers, in our uh, NFL, or whatever sport we play or whatever we're good at. What was it like when that NFL chapter closed for you, and what helped you discover the next version of yourself?
Well, I think first of all, just like you said, football wasn't my identity. My identity is what I leave for other people, and for me, after I was done with football, that's what I wanted to do. Is I wanted to leave the things that I learned to the next generation, and hopefully make them better people and better players. And so that's the whole goal of I hope anybody's life is to leave a legacy for the next generation.
That's good. Craig, Kevin had a little faux pas there. It's okay. This happens. We're in it to win it, guys. He's gonna keep going. So,
Uh,
did you always, Craig? Did you always? Was that always your? Did you ever feel like your identity was in that? Because I know with wisdom and birthdays, you release that, but a lot of NFL players statistically have an identity crisis. They go into depression. They lose money.
Mhm.
They divorce. There's a lot of things in an identity. And I wish I had the stat on that, but so many, not just football, so many sports. Did you learn your identity later, or do you feel that was part of it, or is that something you never really struggled with?
Well, it's something I never really struggled with. I've been very fortunate. I've got a great, loving family who I was looking forward to spending more time with, and I knew it at the time after 17 years that my body was yelling at me and telling me it was time to stop. And so I knew it was my time, but it wasn't. That's not what I am. That's what I did. And
Right.
so I think that's the difference. Is I came home to people who supported me no matter what I was going to do. But when I finished, I wanted to do something totally different. Yes, I was coaching young punters and kickers, but I
Mhm.
also wanted to do things I'd never been able to do before, to learn something totally different from what I've done for so many years. And that's what kept my life interesting, is learning the new things, because I'm always wanting something different, a new challenge.
Yeah,
And that's just how the athlete's mind works, is I want a new challenge.
that's
And
so
so
true.
that's what I did.
Well, I know you have a loving family because they love us very well. Your bride, Lisa, and just yeah, you have an incredible family, and it shows that you have such a servant's heart to family and friends and anybody who knows you. Really,
Well, that's who I am. That's the way I was raised. My parents have two great parents. My mom and dad are still with us and doing well, and they raised us to be that, to have that servant's heart, and to think of other people first. And I think that's what makes life fun, is seeing what you can do for other people and seeing how it impacts their lives.
yeah, you do it well.
that's yes, you do it exceptionally well. Well, Craig, you've always said how you think affects how you live. What role has a positive thinking attitude, reframing or played in your post NFL journey? And how can business leaders use that in everyday decision making?
Oh, that's a deep question. So, when I was playing football, the mental part of the game was, some people say half the game. I think it was more than half the game. Everybody that I played with had the ability to be there. It's whether their mind let them do what they were born to do and do it well. So when people crumbled under pressure, that's when their careers ended. And so learning mental strength, mental toughness was something I started in high school and really in college when Coach Holtz spoke into me and really all of his players. And so learning that mental toughness is what kind of got me through the 17 years, because there was some down times in my career, and there were some great times, but it's those down times. What happens in the down times that defines the kind of character that you have? And so when you have people speaking life into you all the time, like Coach Holtz did, or like my parents did, or like my friends, it makes you want to get better. And so just speaking life to people and watching what happens. There's so much negativity in this world today, and people are always trying to. There's a lot of people playing victim.
Mm.
Yeah.
To me, you're not a victim. You make yourself a victim. So do something different if you're having things go your way. So I never tried to play the victim role, and I was always a doer. I wanted to get better every day, and I had people speaking life into me.
So true, Craig. I mean, we know the power of our words. Life and death are in the power of the tongue.
That's right.
And our words mean so much. And you can stay in the victim, or you can choose to go into the victor,
That's right.
have a victory mindset. So I wore my, I was born and raised in the South Bend, Elkhart area. So Notre Dame was something we grew up with. And all day I was like, I'm going to just channel in Craig today. I got my
Thank you.
navy and a little green. And then I have a little necklace, How I Met Your Bride. Like it's a little heart with a musical note that a friend got me. That's the Dolly version of the Kendra Scott. But so, being here today and shining a light on you just as, yes, the NFL player, but more so just you as Craig Hentrich, the character of you and who you are as a person. So that it's going to pivot me to you in the kitchen, because what Kevin and I mean, I will speak for Kev, because you are an incredible cook, truly. And because you have a servant's heart and you love to cook and you're just amazing at it. Our tradition for Kevin's birthday has always been to go to breakfast with his family, because breakfast is his favorite food. So last birthday, Craigers is like we call him. Craigers says, why don't you just come to my house for your birthday? So the whole gang came. And Kevin, was it your favorite breakfast of all time? Be honest.
Yeah, the last two birthday celebrations have been my all-time favorite birthday celebrations, and both of them have been with Chef Craig at the helm. And pretty sure we didn't have anything left out of the breakfast menu. So fantastic. And I always love family time anyway.
Yeah.
So having the entire family together, and Craig and Lisa's entire family together, it's a great time. And then Craig's oldest son, Sam, is obviously January birthday as well. So we get to celebrate Sam. We bring me in, and then our son in love also is a January birthday. So it's the trifecta at the Hentrich house.
The trifecta. So you went from punting to pasta, field goals to food goals. And when did the cooking part become a part of you and your message, and how do you think that creative outlet, because you're creative, so cooking is part of it. How do creative outlets, do you think, help entrepreneurs just reconnect and have joy in their lives?
Yeah, so I grew up cooking with my mom. My mom was a really, really good cook. And so she taught me, she was more of a comfort food chef. She loved the biscuits and gravy and the chicken and dumplings and things like that all the comfort foods. And so I grew up learning those recipes. But when I was in football, I really didn't have a lot of time to do a lot of that because we practiced most every day or we're traveling a lot. So again, you say I'm a creative. So when I got done with football, I wanted something totally different from what I ever did. Football is you do what you're told to do, and you do it time after time after time again. There was no creativity in that at all. And so when I got done with football, that's one of the first things I did is I really dove into the cooking because I love to cook. I think it's relaxing to me. I think food is the universal symbol of love. I think it brings people together. People have a great time. They talk, and that's what family and friends are all about is getting to know each other better and hearing what's going on in other people's lives. And so food brings everybody together. And so I just it became a passion for me, and I love to do it.
And you do it well.
Oh, thanks.
That's why
Exceptionally well.
we're neighbors now. So when Craig invites us over, and I mean, I'm not a bad cook, but I'm not a good one either. So
Stop.
we love just participating in the neighbors' meal and sitting around at their table.
We enjoy it. We enjoy it too. It's awesome.
Absolutely. Well, Craig, we know you as a friend. We know you are a fantastic leader. But on the field, you never were the loudest player, but you were one of the most trusted players in the entire NFL. So in today's world of noise and flash, what advice would you give to leaders about building trust through quiet consistency?
Lead through example. I was never the guy who would be the rah guy in the huddle. I wasn't going to call anybody out in front of everybody. That wasn't me. I was the guy who was going to be kind of lay back in the shadows, but I was always going to be somebody that everyone could rely on. And so that is what I strive to be every day. I wanted to be a leader by example. It worked. I was able to be the team captain for the Titans for the last 7 years of my career, and that was a huge honor for me because I didn't do it through talking. I did it through example.
Yeah. What's that song? A little less talk and a lot more action.
There you go.
Who's saying that? Toby Keith?
No idea.
I think it is Toby.
You need to ask my wife. She knows every
I was
song.
going to say we need Lisa in here. She's the lyric queen. Okay, so you've poured into young athletes, including your own two sons, and now you're creating content, launching tools, writing books. And so, how do you stay creative, Craig? And what would you say to entrepreneurs who feel like maybe it's too late to start their 2.0, as we like to call it, or their next chapter or their next season? Obviously, we're all at the same age, and we're still creating and doing the thing. So, what would you say to entrepreneurs who feel like it's too late, or I've had too many birthdays?
Well, it doesn't matter how much or how little you've accomplished in your life. Somebody can still learn from you. Yeah. And I think that just speaking your experience to people, whether it be through a sickness or through a job or through a firing or through a hiring or anything like that, someone's going to be able to learn from you. And so tell your story and be proud of it. And because that's who we all are and that's how we learn.
That is exactly right.
It's excellent advice, again, for all of us outside the huddle, outside the business world, but just to take it, we're never too old to learn or never too old to help shine the light on someone else. So, all right, Craig, let's do a little rapid fire here.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
There we go.
Rapid fire with Craig Hentrich.
Oh, boy.
All right.
Should I be nervous?
No, you're good. You'll nail all
You're
these.
good
All
under
right.
pressure.
What is your favorite all-time kick? It can be college or pro.
I would say probably the Music City Miracle post touchdown kick. Here's what happened. So we had a Music City Miracle against Buffalo.
Yep.
And we scored with 4 seconds to go or something in a playoff game everybody thought to win the game. Well, I still had to kick off to the other team. So I kick off and the guy cuts and I see him with a huge hole coming right at me. This is for them to go back and win the game. And I'm thinking, oh, man, I'm going to have to make a tackle here to save this game. A guy from our team had come off his block and tripped him up by the shoelaces and he went down and we won the game. So if he hadn't done that, I would have had to make a tackle to win that game that everybody assumed that we had just won. So it was a crazy game.
Wow.
I think we all know you would have laid him out too. There's no question
If
about
I
that.
could catch him.
All right. Favorite go-to meal in the kitchen?
Ooh, I'm going to say chicken and dumplings.
Yeah.
Everybody likes it.
Yes.
Well, I'm
That
one
is-
of your favorite fans in that one.
It is a comfort food.
Oh my gosh. Okay. What is one thing that people always get wrong about punters?
That we're not athletes.
Right.
Ooh.
That is so
Boo.
wrong.
I used to always tell everybody, if you want to play any other sport, you just let me know and I'll be there. Nobody ever challenged me.
Hey, I've played plenty of years on the golf course with you, and if you weren't a professional punter, I know you could have been a professional PGA Tour player. So just pick your poison, people. Just be careful saying punters aren't athletes.
That's right.
All right. So, favorite quote or scripture that grounds you?
I'm going to say, Coach Holtz. What the mind perceives, the body will achieve. The power of words. It's just so relevant in all of our lives.
Yeah, and that really is scripture. As a man thinketh, so is he. I mean, that's what scripture says too. So all of those quotes usually come from the main source, God. He started it all, and everybody changes up the words, and it's the truth of it. As a man thinketh, so is he. Right? What'd you say? Repeat that again from Luke.
What the mind perceives, the body will achieve.
Okay. So speaking of the body, now this may or may not be your story, but we like to ask for our listeners, because this is the Conquer Club podcast. So, a lot of times people will hear, Craig is this NFL player, or you see these entrepreneurs who are crushing the game, crushing their business, just, making loads of money and all that jazz. But what nobody talks about is the conquer moments or opportunities to conquer something in their journey. Because if you've lived more than a minute, you've had an opportunity to conquer something. And we always say we're more than conquerors in Christ. So what is something that you have had to conquer, whether it was fear, a season, a mindset, all three of them, that was maybe became a doorway? Because usually when we've walked through a trial, it's a doorway that pushes us in a lot of times, or we crawl into purpose. So is there some story that you have in your journey that you have conquered that you want to share with us?
I think without question, it's fear. In sports, it was fear of failure. It's one of the things that I look forward to, but hated at the same time. Playing football was the fear of the unknown. What was going to happen? Was I going to make a big play in a game that was going to make a difference, positive or negative, in a game? Am I going to screw up to let my teammates down? That was a fear that I had to deal with every single Sunday that I played football. After a while, you kind of get used to it, but it never leaves you. Just in the last several years, it was fear in my life. I had a health scare a few years ago that I had to deal with a lot of fear. And a good friend once told us, you can't be in fear and faith at the same time, because fear is the absence of faith. So I had to deepen my faith. And so I think fear is the biggest, probably in most people's lives, I would guess.
So in a practical way for somebody listening, because I know Kevin has walked through anxiety attacks at one point in his season. I know you've walked it in your life, and I am most certain that entrepreneurs who are listening through some sort of pressure, like you said, a fear of something. What, in a practical way, can you tell our listeners that helped you? You said you had to dig into your faith. What did that look like, practically speaking? Because you hear people say, "Oh, have faith." What does that mean for our listeners? How did you do that?
My wife was a huge part in that. She never wavered. She was, and the only word I could think of is steadfast. She never wavered one time.
Mm.
And just to see her husband going through something like I went through, and Tanya, you know this as well, the people around you are what give you strength. And you
Yes.
have to have these people around you to give you the strength, to give you that hope, that, to teach you about faith, because at that time, faith is tough because of what you're going through. But having people around you who speak life into you and speak
Mhm.
what they believe, and my wife was that person for me.
And she's been that for us many times as well. So faith is the substance of what we hope for. And it's not just like, oh, I hope one day. It's
Mm-hmm.
an actual knowing of what God's truth says about you, about that fear. What's one of your favorite verses, Kev? 2 Timothy 1:7.
Yes, it is.
What do
2
you
Timothy 1:7 says, God did not give us the spirit of fear.
Mhm.
He gave us all spirit of power, love, and a sound mind. And I literally repeat that on replay every day. It never stops. It's a habit I created, but it just reminds us that what we were truly given and what the enemy was obviously trying to pour on us to keep us from becoming all that we were created to be. So
Mhm.
it's very powerful. But yeah, overcoming is, we all have that authority to do. Doesn't mean it's easy, but we do have that authority.
So, Kev, let's go a little deeper on the golf thing and Craig. Uh,
Yeah.
so, Craig, we'll swing it a couple of ways. Your MPK app. Let's start there. Tell us what. So you have this app, and it's for legacy, literally. So you can pass on all this years of knowledge. I mean, truly. And you had. Tell us about, I can't remember exactly, Craig, but you had something missing in your foot or your knee or your leg. Tell the listeners about that.
Well, no one ever really knew this other than the doctors for the team, but I played 18 years, one in college and then 17 in the pros without an ACL in my kicking leg. And
That's
so
crazy.
it became kind of a big joke halfway through my career, because every time we go in for our preseason physical, the doctors would just laugh at me and say, I don't know how you do it, but just keep doing what you're doing. And our team orthopedic surgeon every year would say, I'll give you a 10 to 15% chance to make it through this season without having to get it repaired. And I made
Mm.
it 17. So that was definitely a divine thing for me. And it's something that I deal with every year, but something that never really hindered me.
So it's a perfect example of somebody saying, you don't have what it takes. Literally, you
Mhm.
physically didn't have what it took to be this epic kicker punter. So as entrepreneurs, how would you say, what would you say to somebody who's like, you're not qualified, you don't have the degree,
Yeah.
you don't, or the person saying, Anita, we always say, don't stay stuck like Anita in the fajita. So what would you say to an entrepreneur who's listening, or maybe they're sick of their 9 to 5 grind and they want
Mhm.
to do something different? What would you encourage them with?
Well, I always told people, I was like, if you want me to accomplish something, tell me I can't.
Mm.
And so just take all those naysayers and just put them in their place and succeed. It's that simple for me. Football is something that is not an easy thing to do, and it requires a lot of obviously God given talent, but a lot of mental strength too. And I remember in high school one time, and it was a big deal in high school came from a small town, kind of like Utah, and I heard one guy say one time when I was in earshot, "This guy will never get out of this town." And I
Mm.
took that. I never forgot that. And I just like to say now, how you liking it now?
How do you like me
So
How do you
now?
like me
just
now?
if you want me to accomplish something, tell me I can't. So take all the naysayers and put them in their place.
I think it's a Toby Keith episode to honor him. How do you like me now?
That's
That
right.
song is it's so true. And it's like, do you know where this dude is in his life, or did you
No
know
idea. Didn't
him?
even know the guy.
Oh, okay.
He had just watched me kick in a game.
Ha. And he had a little tip
I
for
know where he is. He's still in that town he said you would never get out of.
Same bar stool, probably, right?
Barstool. Oh, that's
Uh,
great. Kevin, did you want to ask him something
well, you
about
mentioned
golf?
you mentioned about golf,
Yeah.
and through the years we've been grateful to be able to play a lot of golf with you, and I've had the opportunity to play with a lot of good players over the years. And the one thing that always stuck out with me when I had the opportunity to play with you is not only were you terribly competitive, but in the same sentence, when you had your foot on my throat, you're trying to encourage and help me along to keep up, keep pace. You can do this. It was like you got this little settleness. I would say you learned that as well from playing at such a high level, because on the golf course, you're truly playing the golf course. Now, when you're playing with your buddies, you're trying to beat your buddies and whatnot. But I would say that's another one of your amazing skill sets that I call it a quiet competitive fire. You're encouraging me and lifting me up and giving me advice and all these wonderful things. But in the same time, you're just literally sticking your foot on my throat. Is
He's
that something
destroying
that
you.
you also had to deal with? I mean, every single year they bring in what, 2 or 3 punters to try to take your job from you.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So that's another sustainable thing that we can learn from you and your lessons. What were some of the things that you would always, I'll say, take ground in or root? So what's the root base or root cause with regards to that skill set?
Well, I never really looked at it like I was competing against somebody. I was competing against myself. I knew what I was capable of. I knew that I could always get better. And if somebody was better than me, then great. They beat me. But I wasn't going to let what they did affect the way that I played or the way I performed.
Yeah.
And so I think that was the difference between maybe guys who played 2 or 3 years and guys who played as long as I did is you got to beat me out. And you're not going to get in my head. And if you can beat me out, great. But I'm going to encourage you. I'm going to try to make you better in the meantime. So
Mm.
always
That's what I'm
speak life.
talking about.
Always speak life.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, well, terribly blessed in regards to uh, total package, in regards to not only being a amazing athlete, but amazing friend, amazing husband, amazing dad. But just it's really great to see you still out making a difference in other people's lives.
Well, I appreciate it, guys, and I want to just real quick talk about it because Tony, you'd asked me a question earlier about the MPK app,
Yeah, I wanted to go a little
kind of
deeper.
what it was,
Yep.
and we talked earlier that I've been kicking for 30 plus years of my life, and so I gained a lot of knowledge during those years, and so what this MPK app does is it kind of takes a punt and a kick step by step, and I'll go through what the body does, what your mind should be thinking, certain aspects of the game you have no control over, like the snap and the things like that, the wind, the weather. But I wanted to break this down so elementary that anybody can really understand it. And so I go through a punt and a kick step by step, one step at a time, starting from the stance all the way through the follow through. In each punting and kicking, and also go through holding, how to become a better holder for your place kicker if you're a punter, and then also about kickoffs. And I also talk about the mental game, which was such a big part of my career was being strong mentally. And so I wanted to just present these in a way that a lot of people, it's easily learned, it's easy to understand, but you're also gaining a knowledge of that took me 31 years to really break down and do.
Yeah. And so is the app, so you held a lot of balls in 31 years, correct?
Absolutely.
We'll just leave that at that.
Only you, Ton.
So, but all those years of well, how else do I say this, Craig?
Holding.
Holding.
Yes.
All those years of holding.
Yes.
What was the relationship, if you will, or the camaraderie with the people that you were holding it for? How
Well,
was that?
yeah, that's probably the hardest job that I had was holding for field goals
Mm,
because what I did, someone else's job depended on how I performed. It wasn't just me. So if I
right.
held the ball wrong, he was missing the kick. And so it's about repetition. It's about doing things time after time after time, so it becomes second nature. And then if something does happen that's maybe not what you're used to, or something happen that's bad, you don't panic. And so you have to become so good at this that it's almost second nature. It's like walking down a hall. You don't think about it anymore because you've done it so many times. Well, I reached up and grabbed snaps and put it down and spun laces so many times that I didn't think about it anymore.
Is that something, are those tips also in the app as well, Craig?
Yes, everything from punting and kicking,
Okay.
holding, kickoffs, drills, and the mental game. Everything's in the app, and it's everything I learned over 30 plus years of kicking.
That's incredible. I
It
mean,
is.
truly, that to have that gold literally in your hand in an app, easily accessible. Somebody could literally be out on a field and pull up the app on your phone
Hmm.
and apply it, right?
And apply it and use the drills that I used for 30 plus years. Things that made me better every single day.
So this would be great for a parent to purchase or download. It would be great for a coach in high school. Where would you say the coaches? Middle school, high school, college,
I
pros?
think really it's anywhere because it's the whole premise of this MPCAP app is how to coach yourself. And so
Mhm.
I go through ways to diagnose good things and bad things when you're punting or kicking. And so a parent could use this watching their child kick, or a coach could learn how to teach their punters or kickers in high school or college. Because going through college and even in the NFL, not many coaches that I knew a whole lot about punting and kicking, the technique
Mhm.
part of it. They were
Wow.
great at the special teams part of it, which is the overall team, but the actual punting and kicking, we were pretty much on our own to deal with it. So my goal is to teach these punters and kickers how to coach themselves so they don't have to rely on a coach to correct them.
That's incredible.
That is incredible. And it's what's coming up with me. It's like every middle school football coach in America could benefit from this, helping their young punters and kickers, and even every high school in America could benefit from just simply having this, as you said, all the time out on the practice field. It's for being a non-kicking football player. I view that as, I remember when I did play, all the time was spent on the offensive plays and defensive sets and calls and blocking assignments. And then, the kickers went out 10 minutes before practice started and kicked. There was no coaching. So it's like all the way back. It's like this would be excellent for every single high school coach to have, to say, okay, here's the 3 kids that are kicking for me this year. You guys, during film time, need to be watching this for advice from one of the all-time greatest punters and kickers in the game. So that's fantastic.
Well, thank you guys. And I always go back to the golf analogy because kicking is a lot like golf. And Kevin, you've been on the golf course so many years as a teaching pro, and think about as you're a golfer in college and you're having troubles, you're struggling in a round. Well, you're not going to have your coach out there telling you how to correct yourself in the middle of the round. You have to do it yourself.
Right.
And so that's kind of the thing that I try to do with the kickers and punters, because now you're not going to make every kick during a game. But when you miss, you got to know how to correct yourself because you can't let it happen again. And so that's the whole goal of the MPK app.
That's
So, Craig,
fantastic.
I we could go on and on about it, but I would just say to the peeps listening inside of these nets that is some. If you know anybody who's in that arena, like Kev said, you literally could start somebody off at a young age and give them the fundamentals that are 31 years of an expert in that field. No pun again,
Mhm.
but that somebody can apply to their lives and their skills and having those tools. So let's go back to entrepreneurs who maybe have a skill like that, and I want to talk a little bit deeper. You're either writing a book, finishing a book, or is your book, do you have the title of the book, and B, is your book the same as what you have in the app, or is it different?
Yeah, so the book is the same information that's in the app, but it's in book form. So you could open up, to step 4, step 5, which is whatever it is, and you can actually look at that in words instead of having to watch an app. And
Got
so
it.
it's an easy reference. You can kind of go step by step and find out where you're having trouble, and just read it. And that's it's in the editing stage. It's all written and ready to go. But the MPCAP is so easy to use. It's all videos. It's me doing all the stuff. It's not somebody else doing it. So it's very easy to use, and hopefully it's gonna change a lot of lives.
I know it will. What would you say to somebody who's an entrepreneur who's like, I know I have so much wisdom inside of me that I want to get inside of a book. What made you want to take that to the finish line? What made you uh, just really you're just we're all just packaging up this knowledge for legacy, like you said, not just for you, for your kids, your generations beyond, as well as strangers.
Well, if you have knowledge, and it could be anything, could be any kind of business, somebody's looking for your wisdom, and you
Yeah.
have to present that to them. Don't take this wisdom with you. It's something that you've spent your whole life accumulating. Let's let everybody else become better people because of it.
That's so good. There's a song by Rascal Flatts that friends of ours, Alan Shamblin's the writer on it, but one of the lines is, uh, "Never leave the stage in the middle of a song." And I just love that line
Yeah.
so much, because wherever you are, don't leave the stage in the middle of the song. It's like if Craig wouldn't wrap up this wisdom in such a beautiful way inside of an app, inside of a book, just like you as an entrepreneur, somebody's praying for that sauce.
That's right.
Somebody wants it right now. And
Right.
instead of taking 31 years to get that information, it's packaged up in a book and an app and a podcast like this, so that people can share it, live the legacy, leave the legacy, and then light it up for somebody, light up the legacy for somebody, which is what you're doing so beautifully, Craig. Uh, and I'm so excited for whoever gets an opportunity to take a peek at this app.
Well, I am too. I've worked hard on. My wife was a huge part of creating this with me, and it's just something. First of all, it's really helped me too because it's out of my head now, and I can actually see what I've learned.
Oh, it's good.
When you hold it
Yeah.
all in, you forget a lot of things that you've learned over the years, and so I really had to sit down for it was about 2 weeks to really write everything down and to really remember everything that I've learned. And these little nuggets here and there might change somebody's future. You never know. And so get them down, get them out there, and let people see them.
That's right.
Love it. Love it. Well, if this conversation has inspired you, screenshot it, tag at Craig Hentrich Official, and share your favorite takeaway. We know that Craig would love to hear from you.
Yeah, so that's at Craig Official in your Instagram. And I know the conversation was fuel for people to do their thing. This is what Kevin and I teach in our business. How can you package up what you know and get it out there? It's part
Right.
of what we do. So it's fuel, it's inspiring, but more than anything, we all want to make an impact, not just inspire. And so, Craig, tell us where people can find you, and we'll have everybody that's listening all of this in the show notes, his MPK app, all of that. But what's a main place where everybody can go to?
Well, you can go find everything at craighentrich.com, and it's spelled Hentrich, Hentrich.com. And then on the App Store, you can find MPK, which is Master Punting and Kicking. And so that's where you can find everything you need to know.
Oh, that's awesome. Is that on Android and Apple?
Yes.
Any app place?
Yes.
That's amazing. And so what Craig, do you think as a final takeaway you could say to the entrepreneurs who are listening in today, or somebody who's just has a desire to take whatever they did in an old season and place it into a new season as an entrepreneur, and or level up? Maybe they're just kind of been riding here and they just want more excitement infused into their journey.
Well, I think the most important thing for me is I had to find something I loved.
Yeah.
I love doing what I'm doing. I love being a dad. I love cooking. I love doing this MPK stuff. I love it. And that's what, when people see your enthusiasm and your excitement about what you're doing, it's addictive and people want a part of it. So find something you love and just go for it.
Let's go. Woo, woo. Okay, so tell us in the comments below right here on YouTube, what was your favorite part of today's podcast with Craig? And do you have somebody that you think would be a great feature on our next Conquer Club podcast? Craig, thanks for, here I go, kicking up this epic conversation with us today, and how Kevin and I like to end all of our podcasts.
Peace in.
Peace out.
Kevin.
And Tanya Stout. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Craig.
Thank you.
So how many of you are ready to conquer your business, your income, and your life? Hit subscribe and join the Conquer Club, and let's start winning together.
Peace in.
Peace out.
Kevin and Tanya Stout.